everybody, Dr. Dane from Wellness Solution Centers, and I want to talk to you about arthritis. We're talking about arthritis this month, and one of the most common places that we see arthritis is in the human spine, and the human spine bears our body weight. But if you look at the spine from the side, it has three curves in it, and these curves are extremely important to absorb shock, and shock over time is what breaks down the bones and the joints and the discs. So you see these three curves here. There's 7 cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic, and 5 lumbar, and they form the shape of a reverse S. And this gives our spine flexibility. Now, when you start to lose those curves, and the common place we see that is in the neck or the lower back, or we'll see an increased kyphosis or curve in the mid-back. This is called a thoracic kyphosis. These are called lower dotted curves. So we see an increased kyphosis, or we see a flattening of the cervical or lumbar lordosis. And when that happens, that misalignment over time will start to cause degeneration. So most arthritis, especially osteoarthritis, is progressive in nature. So you develop in phase 1 misalignment of the joint or the vertebra. And then in phase 2, the disc starts to break down because the disc is the shock absorber bearing the load. And so if there's increased pressure on one of the discs, like C5 is a very common disc, we see that herniates or degenerates. Then if that's not corrected, we start to see changes in the bone. So there's a law called Wolff's Law that if you put stress on a bone, the body actually lays down more bone. Just like a callus, if you stress your skin, you get a thickened callus. Well, if you stress the bone because of compression, you start to get more bony changes. And that bony changes is kind of like rust in a hinge. Rust prevents the hinge from moving properly, and it does the same thing with osteoarthritis. Those bone spurs can poke into the actual spinal column and cause stenosis. So it can compress the spinal cord, or it can choke off a nerve and cause foraminal stenosis, which is compression of the nerve roots that exit out through the spine. So spinal osteoarthritis, spinal degeneration, whatever you want to call it, it's serious business. But it all starts off with spinal misalignment, which is something as a chiropractor that we deal with. We deal with alignment and we deal with mobility. There's 53 joints in this spine. It's extremely dynamic. It's extremely important to protect and support our spine. So you got to take care of it. So this is Dr. Dane.